Mid-weight survival knives, right around the 6 to 7 inches, really connect with me. But most of those you're gonna see are gonna be high carbon steel, which is very tough, easy to get an edge back on, but is very prone to rust. And of those knives, if you've been watching the channel for an extended period of time, the SE6 to me is really kind of like the knife that you can just purchase it, forget it. It's gonna offer a lot for you in a pretty compact package, comes with a good sheath, comes with just a good size range that can do smaller, finer tasks, and some medium tasks as well. But that's a high carbon steel knife. So what would be like the SE6 of the stainless steel world out here that we've tested so far at the channel? I want to introduce you folks today to the Fallkniven A1. I think the A1 has the potential, because of its size and weight and capability, to basically be a stainless steel SE6 in that concept of being able to do a lot bigger tasks than maybe the smaller Fallknivens like the F1 could do, but also do some finer tasks as well, and kind of be that mid-weight stainless steel survival knife that if you're like, hey, I'm looking for stainless steel survival, hey, I don't even have to think about it, I recommend the A1. That's what's in my head today as we're about to review this A1. We're gonna test it out, see if it's capable in that format, what are its pros, what are its cons, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll see whether or not this Fallkniven A1 is gonna be the right knife for a stainless steel system in a mid-weight survival knife. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get to it and see what this baby can do. So the steel on the A1 here is VG10 laminated steel, which means it's basically got a hunk of VG10 down the middle, and then it's got 420 on the sides, which gives it extreme strength. And you can kind of see it when you look real closely. There's about I don't know, 1/4 of an inch of VG10, and then you kind of start to see the laminated portion, which means great edge retention, but also great strength that this knife offers you. Now the blade length from the handle to the tip is 6.3 inches with an actual cutting edge of 6 inches even. It has that convex edge, which is great, no secondary bevel there. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go through this. And then we're gonna have a 0.24, so just a hair under a 1/4 inch thick spine, 90-degree spine with a very mild swedge with that kind of clip point design with that great amount of belly and really sweeps up. So now with that, you know, kind of being in my mind what I look for in kind of a mid-weight survival knife in its thickness and in its blade length, let's go ahead and discuss and kind of look at how this blade actually performs when you're out there in the field. That, folks, is why this blade is so good. A great mid-weight survival knife. Love it. Oh my gosh. Easy to do that too. That pinky lanyard works every time. Awesome. Wow. Man, this Convex Edge is amazing. That's that angle right there, yeah. Dude. Totally. Dude, Falcon Farvey Newton or whatever his name is freaking, they got their blade angle crap together for sure. One of the first things is the convex edge. You know, I really like convex edges as my skills in using knives has progressed. When I first got into knives, I was really concerned about the convex edge. You know, convex edges basically think of like the hull of a ship. There are no right angles or anything like that. It's rounded and comes to the point of the edge, which makes it very, very strong and also very sharp, which is fantastic when it's done right. Fallkniven does it right. And I got to tell you that strength, as well as just that ability, just like the hull of a ship pushes through water, this blade geometry pushes through all material, and I mean all material. The nylon rope cutting that we've seen, very, very good with that type of stuff. So if you are thinking about maybe using this as a soldier knife, you could totally do that. Wood of any kind, it's gonna, not only split that if you're doing like harder tasks like chopping and batoning, this really split and got through that wood really well. And finer tasks, man, it is, for such a big thick knife at being a 1/4 inch thick, this performs like a knife that's 3/16 or even maybe a little bit thinner because of the edge geometry and that convex edge. So I got to tell you that I'm really happy with the convex edge, as well as the VG10. The VG10 holds a very good edge. They do a good heat treat over there, very rust resistant, which is also a big plus for those of you in high humid environments that maybe like this size range, but can't really go with a high carbon, say like an SE6 or something like that. This absolutely does a fantastic job with that stabbing task as well, with that really good guard. This has the best guard of all the Fallknivens that I've seen in this kind of series, and it is awesome. So I mean, you could absolutely use this as like a soldier knife again, and that stabbing task as well gives you good traction and good strength on the tip. Man, can this thing perform, and is awesome, and I love using it in those tasks. As we look to the handle, out of the 3 Fallknivens that we've reviewed, the F1, the S1, and now the A1 is my favorite handle. It's got the biggest size, the biggest guard, and the most comfortability for my large size hands, as you guys know. Now the handle overall is 4.7 inches long. It's gonna have a maximum thickness down the center there of that kind of bulge and that swell of 0.81, so good and thick. Full tang construction with the tang coming out the back, lanyard hole, even got a little bit of a flare out the back there, so it'll stay in your hand reasonably for light chopping tasks that you may have to do in delimbing tasks, and just zero hot spots, all very ergonomic craton handle that's going to give you really good traction. They got ribbing along the sides and no ribbing on top and bottom, and regardless if you're wearing gloves or you're wearing just non-gloves, now you're doing barehanded, it's going to feel very comfortable in your hand, give you the traction you need for maybe some stabbing tasks, self-defense tasks, but also give you good feel for more bush style tasks where you don't want any hot spots. It's a very natural handle and really feels fantastic in the hand. Now I do want to discuss the sheath very briefly. If you've been following the channel for a while and you've seen the other 2 reviews, you know I'm not super stoked about these Zytel molded plastic sheaths that they offer with the A1, S1, and F1. Now there are leather sheaths out there that cost a little bit more money to purchase that version. I would recommend doing that if you're not planning on upgrading the sheath, because I do not like this style. Basically what we have here is kind of a drainage hole slit down here that you could run paracord through and lash it to your leg if you want to. You kind of got these ribs here. It's very loud, rattles around a lot. You do have a nylon strap right here. You do have this little lever because that's all that kind of retains it in there aside from this strap. So you got the button strap. Now thankfully it's below the lanyard hole, so that is a plus. On the other 2 versions, the smaller versions, the strap actually covers the lanyard hole, so that's really annoying. So thankfully you don't have to fight with that. Good button snap there, but this is all that holds it into place. That just kind of puts some retention on the guard. You can see it move there when I pull it out. So if that were ever to crack, break, or get stuck with snow, I mean whatever, then there's going to be basically no retention in the sheath. And I know for many of you, you may sit there and say, well, this is designed for sub-zero temperatures and Zytel won't crack and break. I get all of that. This is a knife being sold around the world, and there should have been at least more detail and emphasis put into a better designed Zytel sheath, in my opinion. So I still am not digging this sheath. So how about the price here on the A1? Now, as you go bigger the size, the higher the price when it comes to Fallkniven. That's usually pretty generic of most knives out there. Well, there's a lot of different versions of the A1. You can get the model that we're looking at here with the satin finish Zytel sheath. That's the cheapest version at right around 175 to 180 bucks on Amazon. I'll have links in the description below to Amazon, so you can go over there and check it out. That's always a great way when you use those hyperlinks to support the channel. The highest end version that they offer is a black coated blade and then a leather sheath. And as we've kind of talked about, leather sheath I believe is the way to go. I think they sometimes sell those with the satin finish as well. That one I've seen for right around like $225. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do. I mean, you really got to commit to this blade. You know, this isn't a sub $150 knife. This is over $150, pushing 200 bucks for this knife. Now I think that's reasonable for all of the materials and the design of the blade, but you really have to consider, is this going to work well in my systems? Now I made reference to the SE6 earlier in the video, and I want to run that in here real quick so you can see size perspective, because these knives are going to have almost the exact same handle length. They have a very similar profile, nice wide blades. I love that aspect. They weigh about the same as well. Now you're getting the full flat grind on the SE6, which in some ways is really awesome and really good, and it's 3/16 of an inch thick. Full tang 1095 though, versus the VG10, which is going to be a lot more rust resistant, hold a longer edge from what I found, and then it has that true convex with the 0.24 inches thick, so it's a thicker blade overall. And honestly, where I said, and if you've been following the channel for quite a while, when people come to me and they're like, listen, I just want one knife, you know, in a mid-weight survival knife range, I've always said the SE6, you know, in the sense of high carbon, but I've never really had a stainless steel that I could point people in the direction. Just buy it, you'll love it, it'll last you a lifetime, and it's that mid-weight survival knife. And I've now found it. It's the A1, guys. This Fallkniven A1 is my go-to stainless steel mid-weight survival knife. That's the one I would recommend to you. We'll do a separate video just with these two knives in the future, but I did want to touch on that. That's how much I love this A1, and it is so comparable to the performance of an SE6 just with the stainless steel capability. So you just got to decide what you're wanting to do. I know probably some of you are wondering, like, where'd you get those handle scales? Those are Kerry custom handle scales that are epically cool. So just FYI on that. I'll have a link in the description below if I remember to throw that in there for you, over to Kerry Customs on Facebook. He makes custom micarta handle scales. But yeah, guys, I love the A1 and is my go-to now midweight stainless steel survival knife. On top of that, I also want to briefly run in these two other knives because I'm sure I'm going to get tons of questions about it. Now, we've done the previous review on the S1. Love this knife. It's a great companion knife, but I would not call it a survival knife, midweight survival knife. It's good to pair with either a larger knife or an axe, whereas the A1, you could basically take alone and get a lot more tasks done. It's longer, it's heavier, it's thicker, so it's more durable and has a bigger handle, larger palm swell, fills out your hand a little bit more than the S1. So just depending on between these two, which one you're planning on doing more tasks with will dictate that. The S1 is 3/16, and then again, basically a quarter for the A1, so that will also dictate. The S1 is a little bit more of a fine cutting tool. Again, the A1 is more of a survival knife, a little bit thicker and bigger. And then the SRK in VG1 steel, just wanted to show that to you there. That is the most combat of these three here. So if you were to say, hey, what's a good soldier knife, I would say the SRK from Cold Steel. Not that the A1 can't perform in that way, but it's a little heavier and isn't quite as piercing. This has a better stabbing tip, and the A1 would be better in the woods than the SRK for more woodscraft and more survival tasks. So I just wanted to touch on that with you. And so you may be asking, okay, now having reviewed the F1, S1, and A1 from Fallkniven, which of the three, if you could only have one, would you take? It would be this A1. This is the one that connects with me the most, feels the best in the hand, and can get the most work done for me in the systems that I want to deploy it into. So if I had to only take one, this would be it. The one drawback, if you were to ask me what's the drawback, would be the thickness. It's okay. I would have liked to see this blade exactly the same, but 3/16 would have been perfect. So those of you who are considering the new Pro series that's out there, it's even thicker. It's, I believe, 0.27, so over a quarter-inch thick. And I think that the quarter-inch thickness on this one is possibly a little bit of drawback just with some of the finer cutting tasks. Now, it's fantastic, but at an 3/16 of an inch thick, it could have been even better. So to go even further in the thickness, I think is overkill, and for this size of knife is a little redundant. So, I mean, maybe in the future I'll get the A1 Pro series with the upgraded steel and the thicker spine, but at this point I don't really have any plans to, because I'm really happy with the A1, and to go thicker for me in this size range just doesn't make a lot of sense. I may get it just to do the review for you guys at some point in the future. So folks, this definitely fits in my mid-weight survival knife systems. Hopefully this video has kind of shown you whether or not this might be the right stainless steel survival knife in that mid-weight size for you. Thank you as always for checking out the channel. I'd ask if you please subscribe, comment, like, share this video. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on the A1, the S1, and the F1, and your thoughts on what you think about those blades. And as always, check us out on all the relevant social media. Links are in the description below. And as always, remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. We'll see you out there.